Welcome to the sunny side of freedom. Today, I have the special honor of welcoming Navy Chief Josue. Josue and I met on the TikTok platform, actually, and it's actually an amazing story that we have because it's interesting when the big guy has a plan, he ensures that it comes to fruition. And we actually talked about this last week on our Veterans Live, how so many of us in the platform kind of knew each other, were connected, and how is it possible that in a world where social media is so large, we're finding each other? We're finding the energy and the light that we need to help each other through, whether it's to celebrate life, whether it's to, help each other overcome some difficult challenges. It's a community of love and support. If you're not familiar with the Sunnyside platform, please feel free to visit me here on. Obviously, I have some other veteran interviews as well because their stories matter. Every single one of them matter. And if you yourself are a veteran and would like to come on the podcast and share your story, please reach out to me. And if you would like to and are able to get on the TikTok platform, I do host a Veterans Live every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's nothing but community of love and support, bridging the gap between civilians and our veteran community. And with that, I say welcome to the live. How are you, my friend?
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my honor. So today, Josue, I've spoken to you before, and there was just something very magnetic about you, and I refer to it as the light, like your spirituality, the light that you have from within shines so bright. And anytime you've been on my platform, joined our veterans' lives, so many tune into what you have to say. So I'm going to give it over to you, and I'd like you to feel the comfort of sharing whatever part of your story that you'd like to share with those viewing today.
Oh, well, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so my name's Josue Rivera, class, retired Navy chief. I was an aviation bosun's mate. I was a fuels guy, so I wore a purple shirt through my career. Um, I come from a military background. I'm Puerto Rican, so I have two dads, and both served. My biological dad was in the Army. He was a Vietnam guy, and my dad that took care of me and raised me, Sergeant Encarnacion Julio, um, yeah, uh, turned me on to this military thing as a very young buck. Took me out of New York City back in the early '80s. I'm Puerto Rican, so I was born in Puerto Rico in 1975. So you got my age. I just turned a nice 50. So I was born in Puerto Rico, and my mom Jenny moved us to New York City in the early '80s. So we lived in Manhattan and then the Bronx. And then my stepfather came in the picture, got us out of there. The rest been military history after that. He was in the Marine Corps at that time. So I grew up in the Marine Corps, graduated from Camp Lejeune High School, and joined the Navy in 1994. Graduated in '93, joined in '94. I spent a little time with Mickey Mouse before I joined the Navy, and that wasn't for me. So the military was. And amazing time. Started off in Yokosuka, Japan, and on board the USS Independence. A lot of great memories there. And from there, traveled the world a few times around the globe on various ships, about 7 deployments or so, and countless days and moments away from the family, right? So went out there, did a lot of that amazing work for our country, for our people, and retired back in 2015. I got injured on board Dwight D. Eisenhower back in April 23rd, 2014. And that changed my life forever. Grateful to be here over and over, each and every day. But yes, after that situation there on board the Ike, I was able to retire with my life and everything a year or so later. So I retired in 2015, came out to the civilian workforce as a assistant terminal manager down in Kingsville and Corpus Christi at the naval air stations in both sides. Um, and I did that from 2015 to 2019-ish or so. My health was kind of declining quite a bit. And then along with my physical, I started going with my mental. I was losing a lot of focus. I was at the ER because of pain levels almost 2 or 3 times a month. So instead of taking time off of work, I would typically go on Fridays or Saturday mornings. Excuse me. And so um, trying to figure out what was going on within my body. And then obviously then the brain started kicking in other things there that were not real. And that went on. That started around 2019 or so. Then I made a move out here where I live at now, in right outside of Austin, on the lake. Beautiful. God's given me this amazing bubble here, this peace and joy that I've found over and over every time I come home. I get to come back to this moment over and over and over again. It's my reset moment. It's my reset space. And so finding this peace here, this peace finding me here, I've developed what I know today is that strong bond and relationship with Source God, God Source. And I've been witnessed, and continue to witness the greatness of God and what He's done for me. However, that's needless to say, you got to put in some work. And that's where my problem was, where whenever I held or actually heard the word help, I would deter from that completely. I felt that as a Navy chief, I had it all figured out. Hard head. Well, no, a lot of us just really don't. There was a stigma back in, you don't go to medical, you don't ask for help, you don't go get repair like that. You repair yourself, you heal yourself, you figure out how you do that. And so I never had the proper tools. As a young boy, at around 4 years old, I was molested, and that took that away. For there, I developed whatever skill I did as a young 4 or 5 year old boy to keep that safety barrier, however that looked from that point on to today. So I didn't have a heart. I didn't know nothing really about myself on that realm, other than nothing like this comes near me ever. And I stay as a hard person. I have 4 beautiful kids. I have my Laceida, my Angelis, my Josue Jr., and my Sophia. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Amaida, of over 20 years. And it's because of the bridging of this gap that I'm here to make sure that it's accomplished. Because we can't continue to be and expect a different result. I continue to drink and expect for my life to turn better, knowing that I come from an alcoholic family. Both of my, I think, grandparents, I never even met my grandfathers. They died before I was able to meet them because of alcohol. My biological dad turned a little bit. I'm done with it. That's just an example, right? So that addiction. So we talking about breaking generational curses altogether. Also, when we talking about rage, that was mine, right? Mine was rage. I lost my family temporarily for months because of rage. So I had to dig deep to accept the help via resources. I like to say resources today, not help. But many different organizations, civilians, just I've met over and over through these resources and these retreats that have helped me develop and have these tools that are just have helped me tremendously. And not only me, but also have taken care of my wife and my kids in the realm that we've all been able to individually come together and make that conscious decision that this is the way we continue to do business because this is the way it works. It's just love, peace, and unity. There's not much to it. I create chaos in my own peace. I've been doing that, and I started just realizing that that's what I was doing for years. So I'm learning now just to accept the peace, the stillness. This year, I've already had 4 surgeries. I've been bedridden this whole year, pretty much since the beginning of the year to right now. And so it's understanding that in this stillness, I can finally just have a really good time with myself in the best way and laugh at something that I just did by accident that I would typically get somebody upset or upset me if somebody did it. So it's being good to myself and having that relationship with myself that has really introduced me to this amazing ball of energy. Um, and the light uh, that we continue to be and to have. And everybody, we all have this capability, if you will. I don't consider myself disabled. I consider myself with new abilities than before, right? The abilities that I had before to change a the light bulb are not the same. Today, I have to call somebody to do it for me. That's a new ability. I get to call some help and to help me with that. So and to that level, yes, because of the amount of injuries that I have throughout my body. So I have to take care of this. Now, what I understand this kingdom that I own, that I have been stewarded to make sure that whatever I speak because of experience. I've experienced enough in just this lifetime. Just in this 1975 lifetime, I've experienced enough to understand that I'm done. I'm done going around in a circle and then again expecting a result that doesn't exist because it doesn't tie with the circle.
Right.
So I stopped is practicing being in the present moment and making sure that I refocus my energy into the now and making sure that I remember that anxiety is that of the future and depression is that of the past and neither one exists in the present.
I love that. Love that. I was just actually going to ask you, what are some of the coping mechanisms that you've learned that have helped you overcome, whether it be rage, whether it be depression, anxiety? I heard you say, being in the present. Interestingly enough, just yesterday on my Veterans Live last night, we were having a pretty in-depth conversation with some of our veterans, and it just seems like the theme lately has been that of not feeling good. A lot of anxiety or depression. Things are very challenging, but also recognizing, and I loved what you said, keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. If it's not working, how long are you going to keep doing this? It's recognizing those things within ourselves, but then it's also saying, I'm taking my life back. I'm getting back in control of my life and getting back in the driver's seat. And I just love that you said being in the present because we did talk about that. And actually, one of the questions I asked the platform last night was, how often do you sit with yourself in quiet? And I don't mean that in a negative light, rather in a light of reflection. And that's so important to assess ourselves every day. And I actually made reference to you last night. I said, I know that you do because you tell us, stay fresh, look fresh. And so go ahead. If you have any coping techniques that you have found worked for you, may not work for the next person, but go ahead and feel free to share that.
All
Give
right.
me
So
one
yeah.
second.
So you hear 10-4. Copy all.
Go ahead.
All right. So yeah. So one of the first things a few years ago, I went through this amazing retreat, and it wasn't a retreat like that. It was a lot of work. Again, I'm a Navy chief. I've been initiated, and that was very hard. And I was away. I was away from my family throughout my initiation process, and and I tell you that that was I thought that was probably one of the hardest times in my life. I spent 6 days in this program, and the amount of reflection that I have to have and not to go into the detail into the program or which program it is, but it's an amazing program. But just it's not like what we spoke on that everybody needs that program, right? Not everybody needs that, but we have access to a lot of different tools today, right? And so in there, I found that when I go to the mirror, I had to start saying that to myself as my that's how I got introduced to yoga as my mantra. So I started that in the morning. I just say, "Hey, do you look fresh?" I look in the mirror. All right, I got to tighten up a little bit more of that stash or what, you know. I got to cut a hair. All right, do you feel fresh? All right, let's go. You rock and roll. You stay fresh all day. Obviously, some of us got to go out to the supermarkets or whatever it is and or work. And there's times that people are testy, obviously, and so we tend to bring that energy upon us, and that energy doesn't belong upon anywhere near us. And so once I started realizing that, then I would just go back to the mirror and check myself. But it got even better than that because actually people started being my mirror. And that's when it started getting amazing for me. When people started, just a random stranger, right? The perfect stranger again, happened to be the mirror. So I didn't have to walk away from a situation because God captured that just immediately after whatever that moment was that brought me back to the here via the perfect stranger. And that's been happening over and over in a lot of different ways. So listening to what feels good to me and not what feels good to that other, not feeding the ego, if you will, in different situations, right? Because when most of us go out, we're ready, right? We're not here to make friends. I'm here to go buy milk and eggs. I don't need friends. We're gonna go in, coming out. And that's a lot of our veterans. That's a lot of us. That's me. That was me up to just recently, right? I'm not here to make friends. I'm ready to go. I don't care. I have no interest in you or your story. And today I practice the total opposite of that. So 1, 2 for me is actually wrapped up in many, right? So I wake up and make sure I take care of that moment and I look fresh and I roll out. And then if I have to be in the streets, it's continuously checking myself and making sure that I'm not being overprotective in any realm. And that I bring my awareness days, obviously, right? But it's just practicing without just being overworked up and allow the strangers to be amongst me, if you will, without me being so pressed, because we carry a certain energy, and some of us we walk with purpose, and people catch on to that, and they're like, "Oh, they move," and, they kind of get scared, So it happens, right? But it's calming that down. It's making sure that I neutralize right here. Just stay right here. Just stay neutral, so that all these moments that present themselves, like this moment, could be of fruition, right? That we can have a good conversation, because the tools today are not the tools that they told us. The tools that we have available to us are endless today, especially if you're a veteran. But I'm gonna tell you, the biggest tool is right here. It's just coming right there. It's finding that 18 inches between what I know today is my heaven and my earth, which is my heart and my brain. It's controlled right inside of there. I've been able to learn my breathing techniques and do my box breathing and do my 4-7-8 breathing and continuously practice that at all situations, right? I've had over 20 surgeries in my life. Again, 4 surgeries this year alone. So if you say yes, I do live in pain. However, I don't take those pain meds. I'm on more. They have me on a bunch of different pain meds over the years. It's an individual choice for me. I had to make that conscious decision that I had to learn how to move my body today, respect my body and my mind, and respect what's going in, both physically and mentally, what I'm listening to, what I'm talking about, who's around me, and why are they around me. Do they need to be around me? Are they adding value to my moment? If not, then absolutely not. If you're not adding any value, and it's my energy is not free to give any longer. And so understanding that, right? Because I have a right today, not only to myself, but today to my family, and then now to the rest of my extended family. And somebody had commented this last night on your live, which was, you can talk about it, but a lot of folks are not about it, right? I'm not about nothing but my recovery, and my recovery looks like, for me, for right now, it looks amazing, right? And it feels amazing. And so it's your responsibility and it's your duty to have your recovery as you need it. I keep hearing folks waiting for breakthroughs. What are you waiting for? Ain't nobody coming. If you don't do it, you ain't gonna have a breakthrough. Break through that thought, right? Once you break through that thought, that's your breakthrough. You know that you have this thing coming that doesn't exist and it stays right here. What are you doing dwelling on it, right? And I'm just talking to you because I'm talking to me because I see me, and it keeps happening to me. So I'm talking to me through you, okay? Because I'm you and you me. But and it's a constant reminder to self to come back to the present moment, right? I practiced EMDR for years, 2.5 almost to be exact, and that's a lot of hard work. You got to go back in there and put all that work in. But all that work led me to a lot of freedom today, a lot of opening, understanding that that's not who I am. That was characters I had to play, at the time, just to make it to today. And so I get to have this moment over and over today, because I continue to be in the present moment, which allows me to have access to all of it. And the more I get to listen, and that's why yesterday when on your life, I was working on a playlist for this morning, but I was listening, right? Because um, I need all of that information and stuff to, like you said, where people's headspace and why. And then I'm listening to folks, and I'm like, oh, I remember when I was there, or I remember what was happening there, and I can hear myself through them. I can see my story. I'm just like, okay, so you're not alone. And so that's what listening today does. I get to listen to my atmosphere, and it shows me. And again, it's a reflection on the positivity, right? I was going through a lot of hard times, and in that hard time, I had a lot of negative stuff coming out of, things falling out of the sky, snakes falling out of the sky, literal snake else. So yes, it's been an amazing journey, and tools are just endless. But the biggest tool is just having the space, right? And that's the biggest, having the space that one requires to be able to find that heart space that matches the head space, and then understand that it's not free. It took you a lot of work. It took me a lot of work to get here, right? I wouldn't jump on the podcast with somebody else because of popularity if it doesn't suit who I am right now and who I am today, regardless of who it is. I'm not here for that. I'm here for what you and I are doing right now, bridging the gap, understanding that there's a better way to do business, right? And these platforms help us tremendously today. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's led me to where I am today, right now, here with you, which is giving me space, right? Because what's happening to me right now is I'm getting some more headroom, letting go. I feel so good talking to you right now. It feels total opposite of the last one because it was nerve wracking, but it's not that. It's the release that happened then that I'm able to talk through it today. So the more we do this, the better it gets. Not only for self, but just to understand, because I know I've heard a lot of people and they are my story. And when I talk to some folks, they twist their head because some of my story is their story. And so, and not to go into much details about my stories, but yes, we all have a VA story, right? We have VA story, we have childhood story. But at the end of the day, the story that matters is they're here, the now, what we've done to be here. Because you got to remember, I've already beat my worst days over and over. I've already been through the worst day of my life.
And actually, it's you said a lot of wonderful things there. You have the freedom to choose. We choose every single day what we take in, you know, And it's up to us. We have that personal responsibility to our mental well being, our emotional well being, our physical, spiritual. That's our responsibility. And I find too often that we put that responsibility on others. Yes, others that surround us can add value or take away. But at the end of the day, it's the decision is ours. And like going back to what we were saying, you can keep doing the same thing, surrounding with the same people, or you can choose to grow. And that's a personal choice. Like you said, and you're right. Too often we're like, oh, better days are coming. I'm waiting for this or I'm waiting for that. And you totally miss the present. Well, what are you doing today? Because as I often say, is time's going to keep ticking no matter what you're doing. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And if you don't start today, you're never going to see it come to fruition. You got to start. And sometimes I'll put out videos actually on my TikTok where I'm like, today's the right day. Is today the right day for you? Start today. What's holding you back? Choose today. And I find that fear is usually the reason why most don't take next steps. And I'm here to just say this on the podcast: fear is a liar. Fear will lie to you every single time. It will limit your abilities, capabilities. It'll keep you stuck. So at some point, you have to say, I need this. I want this bad enough. And so much of what you've already said, Josue, it all goes back to self love. And it's starting there, not loving on others first, but rather self.
Yeah, and along with that fear, right, is getting rid of that fear, because that fear was holding me back. Because I was still fearing, um, going back to that childhood trauma, right? Still fearing, literally, it happened a few years ago. Again, I've relived my life all over again a few years ago at the hands of the VA. So from the sexual portion of it all the way um, to today, to being taken against my will. And so up to the present, as a grown veteran, to allow that to happen just so I can come home. So I spent some time in a space that I should not have been, but in that space for a couple of weeks that I spent in there, um, I understand today that that saved me from me. Things happen in there, but it's okay. I'm here with you today. But that moment saved me from me because it was heavy. And so
Hmm.
I was out of there, and since then, and that was a few years ago, understanding that a lot of our trauma carries over to the point that if we don't compartmentalize through proper techniques, which I didn't have, right? EMDR, again, was one of the techniques that helped me over the years compartmentalize a lot of this moments. And that's how hard-headed I am. It's 2.5 years going back to the same space. But through that moment, I was able to get back to a lot of root causes and remove what I thought the root cause was. Like, oh, the military did this to me. No, bro. Let's go back. So once we understand that, we have to absolutely accept the resource, however that looks, to get at least a beginning. And again, there's a lot of great resources out here, not that two-letter acronym, that are easier on our heads because most of them are us, and we understand a little differently, right? So it's just getting the right help and putting your life in the right perspective so that you understand. I don't want to say you just, so I can understand my life better. I had to go through what I went through, and
Yeah.
then start all over again to the point I am today, to understand that today my purpose is through my pain and suffering and my trauma. I get to tell my story with a lot more peace. And so today what I'm finding is that my abilities today again are not the same abilities as I had yesterday, where I can get up and cut the grass and do other abilities that I had before. I have new abilities today, and the ability to let my heart just continue to receive, so I can do what I'm doing right now, and releasing and having the space and the energy to be able to do this. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of work, but again, it's turning inside to myself, where I've had to find my peace in that darkness, when all the lights go out, when it's extremely dark and I'm in bed and the pain is excruciating, and that set me off back then. So all these triggers that we know triggers, is having the ability to acknowledge them and not respond, right? And having that willingness also to do the same to people, to not match the negative energy, or the energy if it doesn't suit you. So
Right.
it's protecting oneself altogether, but it's just learning about yourself. If if you've never been that fortunate to meet yourself, give it a try.
I love that. Let me ask you a question. Do you think healing is a one and done? Do you think, and I'm asking this for a reason. Sometimes I'll hear, I'm like, I'm in the best place of my life, like nothing else can possibly happen, you know? And I will always, on the counter, say, we're always healing until the very end, because every day life is happening. And we're always growing and evolving, hopefully, into a better version than even yesterday. But for those that kind of, I see it as like you give up because you're tired. You give up because it's too much work. And I won't take that away from anyone. It is exhausting. It is exhausting.
I tell you honestly, even up to a few days ago, in my backyard, I'm tired, in tears, here live, tired. But why are you tired? You realize why you're tired is because you're doing it to yourself. I'm tiring myself out. I'm wearing myself out worrying about something that doesn't exist. Because the only thing that exists is this moment right now. Right? Yes, I still need to put refrigerator food in and whatever. Right? I tell you, today I'm doing so much more with less. Cut the junk out. Not only the junk food, just so much unnecessary stuff that we really don't need, in and around our home, and in and around our lives. So it's trimming away all of that to the point that yes, alone, yes, I've been alone, but understanding why, because I've had to reset, so I can be this who I am meant to be, and understand and find myself today. That again, those characters, what they call NPCs, that I had to be, and it's not who I am, right? Yeah, it's all back here. It's cool. It gives me whatever cool stuff, but yeah, no, I've had a great career, got a great run, but I look forward to just what's going on right now.
Can I
Within
ask you a question?
yes,
Okay. For those, especially those that have recently left the military, maybe it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but, kind of like new more or less to being a civilian and what that looks like and taking the uniform off because that is a major struggle is losing this identity when it's everything it's a part of our fiber, right? And I don't speak for myself, I'm speaking on behalf of those veterans who I've had the privilege of speaking with. And it's like so hard because who are you? Who are you now? And finding that new identity, which is such a struggle. And I don't care what anyone says, no one's preparing our veterans as they're coming back into society, the reintegration of, okay, you're taking off the uniform, you're no longer chief. Well, who are you
yeah.
now?
I again, a lot of training videos will we'll talk about it offline, but that I have. And I call them training videos because again, I was live on Facebook. I had a pretty good following and things are happening. So I wanted to make sure I was accountable. And so, at any rate, these these moments really has again, and it's shown up through other people. So it's helped us, helped me develop the eye for it, if you will, listening, and also just be able to respond in a more healthier way. A lot of the reason a lot of folks I notice and spending time with them in that space is just the unhealthy environments that some of the resources. So it's just being careful with that. And again, it goes back to also what we knew about religion, what we thought we knew about religion, right? And that
Hmm.
stuff that some folks are still in that headspace, not understanding that doesn't exist. And so once we get past that, understanding that the only thing that exists is this present moment, which is love, peace, and joy. Um, be good to yourself. It's just being
Absolutely.
continuous and finding that, as you say, every day I have to come back multiple times a day. So is healing a one-time deal? Like I'm done? No, I have to tap in whenever I have to tap in. If it's 30 minutes from now, which is going to be as soon as we get off this, I have to tap in, right?
Hmm.
And then things are going to start moving, and then I have to tap in again. So healing is a continuous process of improvement of oneself.
What exactly do you do, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer it, but what exactly do you do if you find yourself in a position of over anxiety, the stimuli? I'm frustrated, I'm aggravated, all of those things because something just happened in life. What's the first thing that you've taught yourself to do?
So first I have to, if I'm with my wife, that's like the first thing, right? So now I have to, all right, what am I upset about? What's happening? What am I being triggered about? And then check myself. Like today, it takes me a split second to check that thought in that moment. But it takes a little bit of work to get there. You have to continuously check yourself. Is it worth it? Right? Whatever that moment is right then and there, is it worth my moment? Is it worth my energy? And it goes back again, just energy, right? I mean, I don't want this negative thought, thoughts, energy, because if you act upon it, you're taking that thought and turning it into now physical energy. Uh,
Right. And it can easily steal the day. You can allow it to just be like, oh, this whole day is done, you know? Or you can say, nope, you've already taken like 10 minutes of my time. I'm done with this. Sometimes we get, I call it the funk, you get yourself into a funk of like, the mindset goes to this negative place of doom and gloom, like, oh, this whole day is ruined, or it could be this vacation, whatever it is, and it's kind of regaining control, and that's really hard to do because I often make reference to we're driven by emotion, whether positive or negative, and it's really hard, and that's why self-assessment is so important. And one of our veterans had said self-love, that's really hard to do, and I validate that. It's been hard because no one taught us. And we're going to go back to childhood trauma for a minute because you're not wrong. So often we talk about it wasn't the marriage. It may not even have been the military. It starts from another place. And that's the work. That's the work that you have to sit with and say, why do I feel triggered? Why is this happening? And go back to that place of addressing to find that healing. It starts way back then when you were a child. Um, whether it's neglect, whether it's abuse, whatever it is. But one of the things that I have spent time on in my veterans' lives is talking about self love and what that looks like. And not to feel bad because no one taught us how to love ourselves. We're taught, right? Hopefully, we're taught growing up. Our parents will say, be nice to Susie, play nice, play nice. It's always about somebody
yeah,
else, but no one ever
somebody's love.
takes somebody else. So then somebody says self-love, like, what the hell is that? What do you mean? That requires a lot of work and a lot of quiet time with self and reflection and assessing what that looks like. And then the magic question is, are you even loving yourself correctly? And you can usually identify what that looks like based on what's going on in your life and those around you, your circle. I wanted to segue us into that actually to talk about the power of community. And we've touched base on it a little bit. Not everybody deserves a seat at your table or bubble life into your bubble. They can be on the outside of that bubble, but you have such an important job to protect your peace to the best of your ability and what energies you let in.
Right. And because over and over it's been proven that it's just yes, no. It's part of learning how to take care of yourself, right? It's making sure that your energy, your space is just as fresh as you are, and respect it just as you are. And so, um, but that's everywhere we go, right? Even once I leave here in my space and bubble, right? I know I'm walking out there, and people are not going to respect our space, right? But today is just having the again some better tools, right? Understanding that this person's not here to do harm. Um, a lot of them are just really genuine, nice people. We just interpret it wrong. We're always on defense. So it's just making my heart more pure by simply listening and allowing and practicing, right? Because it comes through the closest folks. It comes through my wife, comes through my kids, and I know 420 Chief came on Friday and spoke, or he gave us a little treat because he was going through it a little bit there, and so he did what his outlet is. Makes it feels good, right? So it's finding that one thing that will take you out of that moment and place you in a better moment. Whether it's a bonsai tree, whether it's gardening, and 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 open up because I never thought I'd be into gardening and or a bonsai tree, and I love doing all of it. It shows me true life and how very delicate we are as just beings with a purpose today, especially that we are still fragile regardless of how our healing looks. It looks like we're strong, but don't mistake my kindness for weakness. It's not like that.
Like,
Uh, um, a lot of us struggle to get to where we at today, and we're here to show you the goodness of God through our struggles that we went through our stories. Get to show you how good God's been to me, because that's the only way I've been able to make it here. Right? It's just Him and I, God's force and I, and having that moment over and over as many times as I need to understand, self check, look in the mirror, right? And again, sometimes, a lot of times, God speaking through a lot of folks, and just delivering people right to your front doorsteps to have a moment of release. And the more that you get to release, I get to release my story, the better it gets, the easier it gets to speak. My heart just feels so full right now. I feel just um, I feel peace. I actually really genuine right now, and usually it's like that, but right now would have been a nerve wracking moment knowing what's going on in front of me. But to be able to be in enough consciousness to just let it go because this is way better than that will ever have been.
I love that when you refer to the source, God, some say universe, whatever it is, you need to sit with self. Last night, I made reference to if you found yourself in a dark box and you had nothing, nobody, and you couldn't reach, let's say, for that bottle, couldn't reach for anything, how would you find yourself? And the honest answer should be if you have him, you're okay. You're going to get through. It's when we can't find him that it becomes the darkest moments in our lives and when we're feeling the most lost. And you have such an amazing story, and one we'd have to be here for a few hours to really dig in and go through so much of it. But I know that you found him too in a very dark moment in your life, and I wanted to quickly touch base on that because that continues to be such an important part of the mission, which is raising awareness to 22 a day. And I'm grateful that you're here. And I'm grateful that you were spared and saved because I know that you too um, encountered those demons and those dark moments where you felt like you didn't want to be here anymore. And I just really grateful that you're here to share that part of your story with so many of us. And you don't have to get into it. You can share whatever you like. But for anyone watching this today, um, 22 a day are the amount of veterans who take their lives every single day, but that number has grown dramatically, if not 44, maybe higher. Just this past week, we lost another young Marine and who made a very powerful statement right in front of the VA. And I wanted to touch base on this because so many of our veterans rely and fixate on the help they're going to get from a system that's broken. I'm not saying don't rely on the VA. There's some really wonderful VAs and then there's some really crappy ones. I mean, that's just the truth. Or we rely so heavily on the scripts, and the scripts themselves come with side effects that we should all be doing our research on, which contribute to some of the suicidal ideation. There's so much that I can dig into, and it continues to be my voice and the voice of many who continue to want to raise awareness to this because it's a growing epidemic. Our veterans should not be taking their lives. Our veterans should feel every ounce of support and love from a community and a society that cares and honors their service. And I'm here to tell you that so many of us do. We do. We respect and love our veterans. And too often, as a civilian, why I started my platform in the first place was that gap that we talk about, which is bridging the gap and creating a space for our veterans to come together and reconnect, to remove some of that isolation. Not easy. It comes with trust. And I thank you so much, Josue, because you've said it yourself. You know, you choose who you let in, and you can feel the energy that people possess and share with you. So thank you for trusting me enough to not just come on my podcast, but even join our veterans' lives. It's been amazing. And I'll pass the ball to you if you'd like to touch base on any of that.
Yeah, no. So my experiences has again led me here. A lot of negative events, if you will, within that system. However, the system also has been good to me ever since. So, the system's there for us to utilize it. All the information is not going to come from the system. All the available items that are available for us, VR goggles, red light therapy, massage therapy, XYZ. We don't know about this until we get into more spaces where there's more of us around that have resources, that understand that they ain't gonna give us that information. We have to seek that information. And then we have to also remember that it's my health care. I don't take no from absolutely nobody. It's my health care. I'm 100% because of. So not you got to be a spokesperson to yourself, and you can't rely on the internal folks to actually be spokespersons. Even though there's a spokesperson, their title doesn't mean that they're actually going to be a real true spokesperson for you. You have to be your own spokesperson because it's your health. And so for me, for a while, I was just saying, "Oh, okay, yeah, just more, just give me more," right? Just going with the script. And then once I got off script, then they have no choice. Anyways, so we're not gonna even touch up on the VA. I love the VA. They take care of my situations for right now. But yes, there's good and bad in everywhere. Like I said at the beginning, and everything that we have. Unfortunately, that system is it's one of them that is there supposedly to help us, and that's what they give us, right? They turn us into these amazing robots, and then they don't give us the right. They give us a form that says, "Hey, you were a good robot." That DD-214 goes out with you, and then after that, they don't give you like a kill switch, turn it off. Especially when it's not time to be a robot, when it's family time, right? And then
Hmm.
once we come out of that uniform, we're done, right? Yes, we're protecting and serving just in a different amazing way today, right? I get to serve in a whole different capacity that I didn't know. Like right now, we're serving in this capacity, and this is the way that I feel healing for me has been extremely important, and releasing and putting things where they belong. Again, those stories, not all viewers need my stories, and not everybody that I encounter needs my story. But in listening, I get to tell my story. I get to listen, and then from there, it tells me where I need to navigate my story to. And if I can relate, then there it is, right? And most of the time, that's what's happening, because uniquely of my events throughout my life and my unique situations has led me to so many different unique events that I can throw down with an 85-year-old in the middle of HEB, or just hang out, with a 4 or 5-year-old and just enjoy that moment of just a natural, just wholesome moment, right? I just became a grandfather to my little cricket Liam this April 7th, which is also my daughter's birthday. So my second daughter's birthday is April 7th, and my first grandson was born April 7th. So I know that's going to be a few. Then my daughter, Laceira, she made me the grandfather. She was in the
That's
Navy
awesome.
also. So my daughter, Laceira, she spent about 5.5, 6 years there in the Navy. Now she lives up in Alabama. So big part of my recovery, and she's been part of her own journey and her own recovery. And immediately, I got custody of her when she was just 7 years old. So God's gifted me a lot of beautiful things throughout my life, and she's been one of them because, uh, you know, I took her and she was a little girl. I turned her into a robot too. So, but she's been able to compartmentalize that and then carry on. So,
I love
um,
that. I love
so,
that. Thank you so much, Josue. Thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing parts of your story. There's so much there to get into, but for the sake of time, I'm just so super grateful that first we met, and second that you've come a part of the Sunny Side of Freedom community. So many amazing interactions have taken place. Just to see you be able to interact with some of your Navy chiefs. You got Frizz, you got 420 Chief, you got Tom. I mean, that's just to name a few. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see you all coming together. We're truly never alone. We just have to take the necessary steps to bring those into our lives, especially when they're there. Um, Anything else that you'd like, before we close this out, that you'd like to leave with any viewers out there? Anyone struggling, whether it be with addiction, with depression, anxiety?
well, all of it, right? That addiction is part of what we need to understand that we're here to do. We're here to break that, right? And we know it's hard. We know it's hard to get off of anything that we're addicted to. Coffee, we can go all the way back to coffee, right? Some folks are really, really struggling with coffee, right? Especially Starbucks. However that looks, it's a serious situation. Um, Recognize it. Right? I had to recognize what my situation was over and over, and I still do, right? Every day. My beautiful wife of over 20 years has kept this together amazingly, held it together. I'm so, like, we're not talking about my wife right now because it's just too heavy. She's very special and total opposite of me. Um, Total opposite, which is what God has done for me because that's where my balance was in that twin flame. I have it. Um, she definitely has balanced it and held this together. So it's having respect uh, for your peoples. Very important. I
Certainly.
Yeah, a lot of respect there for your folks, and again, accepting the guidance, listening for the guidance through your surrounding. just you know what makes you feel good, you know what doesn't make you feel good. And when you add to it, it only temporarily makes you feel good, but then it sends you right back down to where we were at. Again, we were meant to break all of that within, so we are not without.
I love that. Absolutely love that. For our veterans out there, Josue highlighted advocacy. Be your own personal advocate. Fight for yourself like you would your loved one. That's called self love. Fight like hell. Never give up on yourself. You're worthy. We want you here. You have purpose. You do, even if it's no longer serving with the uniform on. Like Josue said, we can still continue serving here. We start with self and family, right? And serving
Yeah.
your God if that's what you choose to do.
And one of my misconception up to just recently, and this is proven right now to be true, which was I felt that in order for me to serve, I had to be outside of the comfort of this chair, if you will, right? In order for me to be of service, I'm supposed to be out there in the building, outside of a building, in the community, outside, right? But because of my new abilities, it hasn't allowed me to completely be what I used to, right? Of that type of service. So again, and it's being good to myself and listening and allowing that service to be as beautiful as it is right now coming through the screen. And I consider this of service for today, for myself, which allows again others to receive the goodness of what the simplicity is turning inwards, find the goodness within yourself and repeat that to yourself, and then all of a sudden that mirrors to my family and to our community eventually, right? So just like you're doing right now, thank you, because what we have to do is just simply be here and be present and be guided.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers and those that are taking the time to watch this. We appreciate you. Feel free to leave comments down below, whether it be your healing journey or if you have questions on how you'd like to get on the podcast and share your story. If you're finding yourself in a place of isolation and you feel like you've been longing for a sense of community, please feel free to join me on my TikTok platform, The Sunny Side of Freedom. We do gather every Friday night at 8 p.m., where our veterans come together, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Every Friday is a little different. And we go from laughter, we go to sadness, we talk about all of it. Why? Because we're humans and we're supposed to feel. We're supposed to feel all of it. And we do it together. And it makes it that much easier. So, my friend, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you again on the side by side of freedom, TikTok. And to all of you, as I always say, lead in love, lead the way, be the difference that you want to see. Much love to all of you. Have a good day and thank you.